students, welcome to the online session or the subject of structural analysis. This subject of structural analysis is mainly for the student of structural engineering. Basically, in design of any kind of a structure, first of all, analysis is required to be done. If the analysis of the structure is done properly, then the design of the structure can be done properly. So basically, we can say that structural analysis is very important subject for the structural engineering students. So let's start with this important subject of structural analysis. So 3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello students, welcome to the online session for the subject of structural analysis. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is the stiffness method approach. Basically, we are going to solve the beam, the column, the truss and many other structural elements with the help of stiffness method. So this is the name of the new chapter. So let's start with the discussion. Basically, the content that we are going to discuss is introduction of a stiffness method. We will be discussing the stiffness coefficient. We will be discussing the stiffness matrix. We will be also discussing the fundamentals of the stiffness. So these are all the things that we are going to discuss for this chapter. So first of all, let's discuss the introduction. Basically, the development of the stiffness matrix by a physical approach, stiffness matrix for a truss, beam and frame element, displacement matrix, development of total stiffness matrix, analysis of a simple structure, plain truss and plain frame, nodal loads and elements, lack of heat and temperature effect. These are all the things that can be solved with the help of stiffness matrix. Whether it is a beam or a truss, you can solve it with the stiffness matrix. Whether it is stresses that are related to the load or the stresses that are related to the temperature, that can be also discussed with the that will be also solved with the help of stiffness method. Okay, we can also find the displacement of the structure with the help of stiffness matrix. So this was the just introduction to the chapter. Basically, for the fundamentals of the stiffness method, basically the things that are required to know is that the displacement components are the primary unknown. Basically, why we are solving the sum? We are solving the sum to find the unknowns, and here the primary unknowns will be our displacements. The number of unknowns is equal to the kinematic indeterminate. This will be the first step for any kind of an example that is being related to the stiffness. In the first step, we have to find the kinematic indeterminacy of the structure, and based on that, we can come to know that at what location the unknowns are set, unknowns are there. Basically, the unknowns will be the displacement, okay, and all the things. The redundants are at the joints, okay. The redundants are mainly at the joint displacement, which are automatically specified. Just we have to choose, or you can have to choice of a redundant is unique. The choice of the redundant that is required to be found with the help of this stiffness method is the uniqueness. Conductive to the computer program. Stiffness method is a kind of a matrix method through which we can analyze the structure. And for this, we can also use the computer programming from which we can solve our example. Basically, the stiffness method, displacement of the joints are the primary. It is kinematic indeterminate. Means in the previous slide also I have discussed that first of all we have to find the kinematic indeterminacy. It is just a degree of freedom. Okay, so it is a freedom in which the structure can take place when it is being loaded. So this is a kinematic indeterminacy. So kinematic indeterminacy will be at the joint also, at the support also, at the free end also. So these are all the kinematic indeterminacy. Okay, we can say that it is degree of freedom. So joints can undergo translation rotation at any point of a joint, either it is a structural joint or a support or a structure joint or a member to member joint, any kind of a joint. It can undergo translation when it is being loaded. In some cases, joint displacement will be known from the restraint condition based on what is the type of the support it has, means what are the restraint condition that is being provided to the structure. We can come to know about what are the kinematic indeterminates. So it will not be a joint, but it can be having, you can say that, a degree of freedom. The unknown joint displacement or kinematic determinacy quantities like kinematic indeterminacy and number of degree of freedom. Okay. So these are all the unknown. The indeterminate quantities will be the unknown, and the number of kinematic indeterminacy will be nothing but a degree of freedom. In a truss, the joint rotation is not regarded as a degree. Joint rotation do not have any physical significance as they don't have effect on the member. So in particularly in truss, the joint rotation is not considered as a degree of freedom. In a frame, degree of freedom due to the axial deformation can be mixed. It is necessary to mix. Further, you can see over here we have the figure. Particularly, it is an example where stiffness and flexibility coefficient have been determined. Here we have a beam which is being cantilevered. It is having a two support that is at the end joint and in indeterminate joint, and at the projected end it is having the rotation and also, and it is having the movement. It is nothing but a kinematic indeterminacy. The kinematic indeterminacy for a beam at a free end will be only the vertical and the rotation. It will not be having the horizontal. So whenever the load is unit load is being applied, then this free end will be translating in a downward direction. So based on that, the stiffness, we can say that the stiffness coefficient can be found. So yes, S11 will be when the unit load is being applied to free, and then the displacement will be S11. The rotation because of the unit load will be equal to 2, 1. Means the displacement at 2 due to unit load at 1. Okay. Now, when we are applying the unit rotation at the free joint, at that time, the rotation that is taking place will be S22. That is nothing but the deformation at 2 because of the loading at, or because at the moment at 2. Here we are considering the vertical loading as number 1 and rotation as 2. So whenever the displacement will be taking place, it will be considered as the 1, and the rotation is taking place, it is considered as 2. Okay. So like this. So yes, and when we are applying the unit rotation, the displacement that will be going to take place will be S1 2, means the stiffness at point 1 because of the loading at 2. Okay. Similarly, the flexibility is also there. Okay. You can see that it is a completely inverse of it. It is having an F21 and F11, and it is having F22 and F12. So the flexibility is also being discussed over. So yes, these are the things. Okay. Here it is also written that S11, S12, S21, S22 are nothing but the force due to the unit displacement. And this is what the definition of the stiffness is. Stiffness is nothing but the force which is causing the unit displacement. Okay. Similarly, here we have an example too where action displacement equation for a beam subjected to several loads is being. Okay, you can see over here in figure number 8, we have the loading on each, and yes, because of this, yeah, listen here, we have the 3 loading, means we have the load at 1 that is noted by A1, we have the load at 2 that is A2, and A3 that is the rotation at joint number 3. So in this way, the you can say that the load, the action is being taken place. Action will be A1 will be equal to A11 plus A12 plus A13. Okay. So yes, because of let's consider the first load. You can see over here in the first part as 1, then in the second load as 2, and the third most will be the rotation. So when unit load at A1 is applied, we will be having the displacement as A11, the displacement at 2 that is S21, and rotation at the third joint as S3. When we have the unit load at A2, at that time the displacement at 1 A1 will be S12, the unit displacement at 2 will be S22, and rotation at 3 will be S3. Now when we are having only the rotation at joint number 3, then at that time the displacement at A1 will be equal to S13, the displacement at 2 will be equal to S23, and the rotation at 3 will be equal to S3. So ultimately, you can say that A1 is equal to S11 into D1 plus S12 into D2 plus S13 into D1, D2, D3 are nothing but a displacement, the unknown displacement. A2 will be equal to S21 into D1 plus S22 into D2 plus S23 into D3. A3 will be equal to S31 into D1 plus S32 into D2 plus S33 into D3. So we can say that this is a simple formulation, a form of the stiffness method where we can find the stiffness coefficient. Okay, like this, we will be having n number of actions, and we will be having the stiffness and the unknown displacement. So you can see over here that A1 into S11 D1 plus S12 D2 plus S13 into D3. Similarly, it will be up to AN is equal to S and 1 D1 plus F and 2 D2 plus N3 D3, like this. So what we will be doing, we will be making it in a proper way. We will be setting it in the proper form. So it will be equal to a matrix on the left hand side will be equal to only A1, A2, A3. We'll be having only n cross 1 matrix. It will be having only one column and a number of. The same time, just to the right side of the is equal to will be having first the stiffness matrix where we will be having S. Okay, S11, S2, S2, S1n and SNN and SN1. Basically, we'll be having a stiffness matrix of n cross n, means n number of rows and n number of columns. And finally, it will be multiplied with the displacement, means whatever the unknown displacement we will be having, nothing else. So it will be equal to n. So E is equal to S into D. This is a generalized formulation of the displacement. Okay. So where we can find the action or the stiffness or the displacement, whatever is, A will be the action, S is the stiffness matrix, and D is the displacement. So yes, if you want to find the flexibility, then we can find it from the stiffness, because the stiffness and flexibility are just an inverse of each other. If we want to find the stiffness, then we have to inverse the flexibility, and if we want to find the flexibility, then we have to inverse the stiffness. Okay, like this, you can see that we are having a prop cantilever for a pneumatical intermediate structure. Okay, you can see whether it is having a prop cantilever. So, what will degree of freedom? It will be only one, that is at point B. It will be only having the rotation in B. So yes, kinematically indeterminate structure obtained by restraining all displacement. All the displacement will be made equal to zero. Okay, so it will be like a we can say that we are restraining. Yes, for a perpendicular thing, it will be having a degree of freedom as well. For restraining, when we are as per the rule, when we are restraining the B joint, it will be causing the reaction of MB. MB will be equal to nothing but a friction moment. It will be equal to WL square by 12. That is nothing but the friction moment when a UDL only, UDL load is being acting on it. Okay, the actual rotation B will be theta B. Hence, it is required to induce the rotation of theta. Okay, after that, what we have to do? We have to provide a unit rotation at B. So yes, so theta B is the rotation will be applied, and as per this, we will be having a we can say that deformation factor, distribution factor, and that will be equal to Fourier burst, as we have discussed in the previous session also, that whenever the far end is fixed, the distribution factor will be Fourier by L, and when the far end is hinged, it will be 3 by L. Okay, so in this way, we will be in this way, after preparing such conditions for the fix means after creating after fixing or returning the hinge end, following condition will be obtained. So ultimately, we will be inducing the rotation theta B is equal to mb into where mb plus m small mb theta b is equal to 0, means ultimately our joint will be an equilibrium. So after equating all this, that is minus WL square by 12 plus 4EI upon L theta b, finally we will be getting the value of theta b is equal to WL cube by 48. Okay, so here particularly theta will be equal to capital MB upon small m. So small mb will be nothing but a moment required for rotation, that is the stiffness coefficient. Okay, like this, for a beam we have find it over here. We are restraining it initially we have applied the unit load at A and unit load at B also. Okay, so a generalized the stiffness matrix that we are getting will be equal to 2EI by L 2 1 1 2. So this is a generalized stiffness matrix for a fixed fixed beam. Similarly, we will be also having a member stiffness matrix for a prismatic beam member with a deflection rotation at one end of the picture. Whenever we are applying the unit rotation at one end, by this our stiffness matrix will be equal to 12E upon L cube minus 6E upon L square minus 6E upon L square 4E. Okay, like this it can be found. Okay. The verification is being seen over here, that is SMI is equal to F inverse and L cube upon 3I into L square upon 2I by means the in the bottom row it will be L square upon 2EI and the last term will be, that is the 2 will term will be L upon. So after solving this, after inversing this, after finding the inverse of it, finally we will be getting 12EI upon L cube minus 6EI upon L square minus 6EI upon L square. Okay. Similarly for truss member also, we have the truss over here. Okay. And the generalized formula for the truss thickness will be EA by L. Okay. Here considering modulus velocity and area divided by. Okay. So whenever the plane frame member is there, whenever the unit load is being applied and unit rotation is being found, finally the stiffness matrix that we are getting will be equal to EA by L 0 0 0 12EI upon L cube minus 6E upon L square 0 minus 6E upon L square 4. Okay. When we are a grid member, its generalized stiffness matrix will be equal to 12EI upon L cube 0 minus 6E upon L square 0 GJ by L 0 minus 6EI upon L square 0 4. Okay. So important formulas will be equal to TF, that is equal to SF inverse AF minus SFR. Support reaction will be equal to AR minus ARC plus SRF DF plus SR plus member end action will be equal to AM is equal to AML plus SM CMF DF plus CMR. So by this we are coming end to our subject. Here we are ending our session. Thank you for attending this session.
So here we are ending our session. Hope you have liked the session. We have discussed each and every topic in brief and also in detail. We have discussed each and every topic's practical application also. So thank you for attending the session. And if you have any kind of a doubt, if you have any kind of a query, then you can send me your doubts and queries in mail. My mail is in my YouTube channel. Do check into my YouTube channel, like it, share it, and again thank you for attending this session. See you in the next session. Thank you.